Thank you so much for tuning into my show, Joanna J Today, where I share information with you about me as well as what's going on in the world today. And the most important part, I always let you know what the subscribers have to say. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like this video, share it, and leave a comment, and always subscribe. So today I do have some unfortunate news to share with you all. A young man, a young artist by the name of Young Dolph, was recently gunned down in Memphis, Tennessee at the age of 36. And I do want to start this particular episode giving and extending my condolences to his family, his friends, his fellow rap artists that he's collaborated with or worked with, as well as his fans. Many condolences to all of you who have known him and who have loved him and experienced the greatness that he was able to share during his short time on this earth with us all. I don't personally know of his music. I was not a personal fan. However, when I saw the news report that he was gunned down in Memphis and he was such a young person, I was interested in finding out more about this particular artist. Another reason why I was so interested in finding out more about him is because, as many of you know, there's been so many recent deaths of young artists, and I'm just wondering what is going on and what do people have to say about that, about what's really going on, the reasons for some of these very senseless crimes. But before I continue to get in further with that, I just want to talk a little bit about what I've learned about Young Dolph. And what I understand from just some research is that he was very well loved, not just a rap artist or an indie rap artist, which was his music style. He was born Mr. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. In Chicago, actually. But grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and I believe he was raised by his grandmother for some period of time. But he also spent time in Atlanta, Georgia, so he's been well loved and appreciated and experienced by different people in different parts of the world. But nonetheless, his style of music was indie rap, and a lot of people likened him to Bob Marley in terms of, they said in his music he spoke the truth. Some other important facts about Mr. Young Dolph is that he owned his own music rights. So that's important. A lot of artists don't necessarily own their music rights, not even just rap artists, but just musicians in general. They do fight to own the rights to their music. And that was one advantage that he did have in the music industry. Not only that, he was very philanthropic. I believe some of the reports were saying that he was in his hometown preparing to do a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway. And prior to doing that event, he stopped at a bakery, I believe, to purchase cookies or a cookie shop, and that's where he was apparently gunned down. But the other really wonderful and interesting things that are noted about Young Dolph is that he actually owned over 100 real estate properties. I'm not sure if they were all centralized in the Memphis, Tennessee area, but nonetheless he had numerous real estate properties. In addition to that, he was in the process of purchasing or have purchased 2 schools and getting those schools prepared and renovated and ready for young children who need a place for education. So just those things alone, that type of philanthropy work that he was doing to build up his communities, to build up young people, and to provide a better life for people is phenomenal. Oftentimes you don't see young artists taking that initiative to that degree to help out their cities where they're from. So I just really want to make sure that was something that was shared with you all, because the senselessness of this murder just does not make sense. Some of the reports of witnesses who were there at the scene say that, of course, this was during broad daylight, and there were 2 black cars that rolled up, and there were some people in black whoever the assailants were in black, and many rounds of gunfire was released. The last report from their local news said it was no more than 50, but I can't even imagine 50 bullets being fired at one person. So definitely this is something that was done intentionally. The reasons, that's what we're still trying to find out, the why. And we can speculate a lot about what the whys are, and that's something that I kind of want to talk about as well. A lot of the reports, of speculations of, this was some type of black on black crime, but really no one knows. No one has been able to actually identify who the actual assailants were. The only thing that they could say is that they were black. It was about 2 assailants, and they were in a all black vehicle. However, there are thoughts that this possibly could be some type of continued beef someone may have had with him, or some type of vendetta. Apparently some years ago, like back in 2017, he had some altercation with another rap artist, Yo Gotti at the time, and there were gunfire and shots fired at that time in their altercation. So there's continued speculation and questioning of whether or not this was related to that. No one actually knows at this point. They're still investigating. This young man has left to mourn his wife, his 2 children, his parents, many family and friends, and other rap artists that he's collaborated with. There were many artists who came out to just send their condolences to the family and to all of his loved ones. It's just another major loss that's hard to process and hard to deal with. I did see a recent interview that Young Dolph did on Cigar Talk, where he talked about the rap game being similar to the streets, in terms of this is just life, and even in life there's death. And the interviewer at the time was just kind of asking him what was his take on that, just about death, about life. And he, the interview was a little bit strained, I thought, but I saw his take as, death just being a cycle and a part of life. This is just what it is, and that he really did not fear death necessarily. And I think in some of his songs, he kind of talks about that as well, just not having that fear so much of death, but just living this life, living the best life that you can, and being the best that you can be, and making sure that you're giving back to your community and lifting other people up as you climb to your level of success that you're desiring for yourself. So I do want to make sure that I put in some subscribers and what some of their comments were where the passing and the murder of Young Dolph is concerned. One thing that was interesting is that one artist said that they find it kind of strange that artists that are signed to Empire Records are getting assassinated. MO3, King Von, Extension, and now Young Dolph. And they also rest in power to all these young brothers. So I'm not familiar with Empire Records as an official label, but just the fact that there were several other artists on that particular label who have been murdered or killed in some fashion is very questionable. And this is something that we do have to start taking a look at, because these are young people, young men who are extremely talented, who are also wanting to uplift their communities and build better communities and build better lives for themselves. So why are they being murdered in the street? Why is this happening? What is the instigating factor? That's my concern. Sometimes I can be a conspiracy theorist about things because I do know that organ harvesting is very real. I do know that there are certain entities and beings in this world that we live in that don't want to see a certain group of people rise. I do know that, and I am aware that it doesn't take a lot of thought to figure that out. We can see that just in what's happening in the world. So it really begs the question, why is this happening? What was the reasoning for this? Was it retaliation? Don't know. Was it a planned hit to prevent him from further philanthropic charitable work that he was doing? Was it a hit to prevent him from building up his community? We've seen that with civil rights leaders, just in wanting to build a better nation of people being gunned down and murdered. Another subscriber wrote that this was definitely a hit. The man just touched down to visit his family and was followed, or they had his location previously. 50 shots, broad daylight, no brainer almost. Rest in peace, Young Dolph. Some of these rappers move so foolishly, though. Our people as a whole need to do better. And we don't know how, we really don't know how this particular person was moving, throughout his community, throughout the rap music industry. We really don't know that other side of it. But he was well known, well loved, well liked, and very, very successful in his career. He actually had 4.4 million Instagram followers. He owned his own music, the rights to his own music, which many artists still battle to own their own music. So, even with that alone, a lot of industry business owners, that make a lot of money off artists, don't necessarily want their artists owning the rights to their music, because then that's less profits for them, for less profits for the record and music industry. So there's many factors, there's many darts that could have come from several directions at this young man. So we are definitely going to continue to send out prayers of peace and sympathy to the family, to the loved ones, to the friends, to the fans, to all that knew and loved Young Dolph. May he rest in power.